So welcome back to DecoyNoise in another episode of Am I the Antagonist? And am I the antagonist for refusing to help my wife with her student loan debt after she gave money to a YouTuber? So as always, read the story in its entirety. We rush it over to Decoy Court where I give you my knee-jerk reaction. Then we give the other person the decoy defense where we try to defend the indefensible. I read over some of the top comments and the controversial comments. Then we go over and read your comments down below. But let's go ahead and get to the story right now. So OP wrote, "She is 25K in debt. That is her debt, not mine, legally or not. However, I do throw a few $100 to her to pay off her debt sooner. I make good money, but I am fiscally conservative. I found out that she's been ordering items from Amazon for YouTubers. I guess some of them create Amazon wish lists for their fans to buy them stuff. She spent $200 last month on some gifts for some woman who posts videos of her dog. Most of the items were for the woman, like a bag. I told my wife she was crazy and we got in a fight over it. It irks me that I'm basically buying random strangers Amazon gifts when I could be using that money for my IRA or buying stocks. My wife says it's her one guilty pleasure, so now I refuse to help pay her student loan debt. I am not looking for legal or financial advice. We have a prenup. Edit. Just because she is my wife doesn't mean I go along with whatever she does or wants. So, is this person the antagonist? So we gotta rush it over to Decoy Court where I give you my knee-jerk reaction, and honestly with this particular story I just feel that at the end of the day, everybody has things that they waste their money on. Me personally, I have too many Funko Pops, hats, sneakers, just things I don't need. It is a guilty pleasure. I spend too much money on it. And I'm sure if I was married with my finances combined with somebody else, my wife would probably think my spending habits would be irresponsible, to say the least. So on the other side, I personally would find it weird if my significant other was buying strangers online gifts because they like their dog. So if I can really think about it, it's no difference than, like, you know, them clicking on all their ads or supporting the premium content or subscribing or just watching all their videos. So it's just kind of more of a personalized gift to show their support. So, you know, you see both sides of the argument. But I think in this particular one, I would just say that I guess I would side with OP in the sense that, you know, she's tens of thousands of dollars in debt and she really shouldn't be giving away hundreds of dollars a month for something that she absolutely doesn't need to, especially when somebody else is helping her pay down her own debt. You know, it's fair to say that OP's not making all the payments and the wife is likely buying the YouTubers gifts with their own money, but that would be the same thing if I was putting, like, you know, if someone is giving $100 a month, hundreds of dollars a month to help pay down my debt, and I turned around and spent hundreds of dollars on another green hat or just something that I didn't really need. It just wouldn't make sense, and I would honestly kind of feel like it'd be irresponsible of me to turn around and say, thanks for the money, let me go dump it on something else right now. I can see where he's coming from. Now, I guess the decoy defense is maybe this YouTuber is secretly the daughter that the wife gave up as a teenager, and no one in the family knows that she gave up a kid while in high school, and through a stroke of luck and 23andMe, you know, the wife found out that not only is her daughter out there, she has her own YouTube channel and she owns the same breed of dog that the wife had when she was a kid. So the wife is there just binge watching all the YouTube content with, you know, tears welling in her eyes, and she's clutching the little baby blanket that she wore when she gave away the baby to her new family, and now she's thinking about how much her long lost baby looks like her and her high school boyfriend that died in a terrible fruit roll-up factory incident. I mean, she just wants the best for her daughter, so she can't outright come out and say, hey, look, I'm your biological mother, because the scandal would be the scandal of the century in her small town of 1,000 people. So from the shadowy depths of the internet, she's gonna buy her all the past due Christmas gifts, birthday presents, graduation gifts, and all the things that she owes to her daughter via Amazon, signed ISPY, I Spy, which just means I'm so proud of you. And that in the decoy defense, that would be the only way that I say the wife is truly not the antagonist. But I guess we have to judge only OP in this, and I'm gonna go ahead and say that there's no antagonist here because the decoy defense was so strong it kind of changed my mind. But just the idea, though, it's fine to have boundaries. You know, everyone has their guilty pleasures and they can spend their own money on whatever they want as long as they're being overall responsible with the bills and the rent and everything. You know, if the wife wants to spend her money buying YouTubers gifts online, so be it. But then OP also gets to choose how they spend their own money, which means that they can just cease to pay her debt. Like, okay, you know what, you're gonna waste your money over there, I'm not gonna waste my money either over here as well. So, you know, it sucks in this situation, but fair is fair. If you enjoyed that and you enjoy the decoy defense and you enjoy how bizarre it's getting right now, make sure you subscribe down below. Make sure you turn on the notifications so you can see all the new content that comes out every day at 10 a.m. What we're going to start doing in the next weeks is it's probably going to release at 10:30 a.m. And what I will do is I will take a break and I will actually be able to do a premiere and watch the videos as they go up alongside my channel, and we can do some comments as we go along. I don't know how to describe this, but no, we'll do live premieres. I'll be online to watch them with you too. So take a short break. Let me know your thoughts about this video, and we'll get over to those top comments right now. So the top comment is not the antagonist. Spending $200 on buying gifts for a random stranger when you're 25K in debt is effing batshit crazy. Oh God, I said it. Whatever. It's one thing that we occasionally splurge on oneself. We all need shoes. It's not a big deal if you replace one out pair of TX instead of a $50 fake leather knockoffs that are going to be replaced in 6 months anyway instead of lasting for years. It's quite another purchase, a fancy handbag for someone because you like their dog. If she really insists on spending her own money on that way rather than paying off her student loans, I guess that's her business. But she can't expect you to pay down a loan she doesn't seem to have any interest in paying down herself. And the thing is, though, is I do agree with most of what they're saying over there, but just not the portion where they say she doesn't have an interest in paying down her debt herself. I think that OP just said we're helping to pay the loan down faster, dodge some interest. If she has extra money and OP's not writing anything about we're not making our mortgage payments, or electricity got cut, or we had to cut off Netflix because we were trying to conserve money. I think that they're overall healthy with their finances, so it wouldn't make sense that this is not a big deal. It's just like, oh, don't spend frivolously a situation. So I think the wife is making payments on a thing. They're just trying to do it faster. So I don't agree with that last line right there. But let's go ahead and read a reply to that saying, funny that you mentioned TX. I've bought my girlfriend her first pair for Christmas last year. She loves them, and some extremely expensive shoes though. Sheesh. Okay, I don't know what that is. Maybe that was mentioned in one of the comments right there with the type of shoes. But let's go ahead and get to the next reply. Not the antagonist. A guilty pleasure is something like eating that extra piece of cake even though you know it's bad for your health. Not spending $200 for a YouTuber you don't even know, especially when you have $25K of debt. Which is true, a guilty pleasure can be a lot of different things. Like, I honestly could say that, toys and like the Funko Pops is a guilty pleasure of mine, when it is something that it's like, yes, it's easy to be at a store or at the mall or whatever, and you see something, it's like, oh, it's $10, whatever. But when I look around my room and I have probably maybe like 30 or 40 of them on the high end, like $10, so what is that, like $400? You know what I mean? Like, it gets up there fast. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did it. So it is like a guilty pleasure. They say, like, not spending like, an extra slice of cake or watching too much television or something. It does make a difference, So let's go ahead and read a reply to that saying, actually, exactly what I was going to say. Guilty pleasures are watching the videos, not spending $200 for gifts or a stranger when you can't afford it. And I think that they're all they're extracting something that doesn't exist actually in the original story, unless there was a plot that I'm not seeing, in the sense that it doesn't explicitly say they can't afford the money. It just seems like he's like, that's a weird way to spend your money. They don't complain about anything else. And if there was other financial issues going on in this story, OP would have included it in the body of the post, because it would make his argument stronger. He wouldn't hide the most damning evidence that he had. So I don't agree with that. But let's go ahead and read one more top comment saying, going against the grain here, but you're the antagonist for how you talk about your wife. I agree that it's a ridiculous thing to spend your money on, but you're married. If it truly is her one guilty pleasure, $200 is not a completely absurd amount of money. You could absolutely ask her to stop, but berating her and withdrawing financial support because she spent $200 for her own pleasure when you could have used it to buy stocks is pretty extreme. You can't expect her to never buy anything frivolous with her money because occasionally you contribute a couple $100s to her debt. If you're serious about spending the rest of your life with this woman, you should want to help get rid of her debt. The fact that you eat out without her because she makes less money than you makes your relationship seem more like roommates than a married couple, which is probably something that is being said in a different area of this post, where if he's saying, oh, I'm gonna go eat in a different restaurant without her because she makes less money than me, that would make sense that OP is the antagonist here. And that's actually new information that we're getting out of the post that's saying that, hey, maybe our original thing was wrong, but that's why we always like to go from the top posts, because that gives us good perspective, and then maybe we can go to the controversial section because it's going to give us something else, just like that other comment right there. So the top controversial post was, not the antagonist. This is not the place to get advice anyway. That's for another subreddit. But I mean, I feel like legal advice and relationship, those threads are like kind of give you a particular type of advice. Am I the antagonist is just being like, hey, am I being socially acceptable? Am I being a jerk when I don't need to be a jerk? Like, you could be justified on am I the antagonist and still be called out as the antagonist. So that's why you would get this perspective over here, because it's just a little bit different than everything else on the internet. The next reply would be, not the antagonist. It's important she pays off her debt, which is what you're giving her money for. Okay, but I don't think that they're getting that wrong. I don't think that OP gave her money for her debt and then she just turned around and said, okay, cool, let me buy this YouTuber this handbag or whatever. I think these are two separate, you know, financial decisions. It's just they're kind of balling it up in one. The next reply is, not the antagonist. Don't let her use you as an ATM. And that's what we're getting, those guys projecting their own story, guys or girls or whatever it is, but just someone that has a very, you know, particular view, biased approach to this situation, and they just interject what they're thinking, like, she's using you as an ATM. No, nowhere in this story it says that. It says they're married, he's just more financially conservative than she is, so he's like, I'd rather spend my $200 a month on investing on his IRA or stocks or whatever it may be, not giving it to somebody that, like, you know, is a random stranger that has a dog on YouTube, just because he doesn't enjoy watching that person and seeing that person, you know, succeed in their YouTube career and, you know, have nice things like a bag for their dog when they're going out or something like that, means that he just doesn't find it valuable, but the wife does. I don't think that's a stretch of saying she's using you as an ATM. I think this is a guy that is very damaged from whatever else he's got going on right now and just projected that on the story. So they say, not the antagonist. Stop giving your wife money. She clearly isn't capable of spending it wisely. And here's the thing is, like, I can openly say that I know me buying toys or buying more hats or sneakers or whatever is not a good way to spend money, but it's one of those things where it's like, you work hard, you do a lot of stuff, and you feel like, you know, you want to unwind, and you have your guilty pleasures. Like, as a kid, couldn't buy all the toys I wanted, couldn't get, like, the really cool sneakers as a kid, but now that you have, you know, money in your bank account and you can buy it, you can afford it, and it's not gonna like make you starve or, you know, make it so you can't pay your bills. You just start doing it, and it is a guilty pleasure where it's just like you getting back at the younger version of yourself, just being able to spend the money however you want to. And I get why this would be a guilty pleasure, but just the it's like, stop giving your wife money, she can't spend it wisely. It's like everybody is entitled to having their own kind of weird thing that they do in their adulthood, I guess. But let's go ahead and read one more top reply saying, not the antagonist. Fools and their money are easily parted. And it's like, okay. And another one says, like my grandpa says, you'll never run out of other people's money. Okay, so people kind of getting a little bit more bitter over here. But let's see, the next one was, does your wife have a job? In my opinion, you guys need to have 3 separate accounts: a joint account for household bills, not including personal or individual debt, then one account for each of your own personal spending, bills, and savings. She sounds like a financial disaster. I would protect myself financially if I were you. That's why I suggest only access she has is to the joint account and her own personal account, and the deposits into that joint account should be equally proportionate to the amount you each earn. If she makes $2K a month versus your $10K a month, the ratio to be 1 to 5. I think that this way you'll be able to save money for your future, and she'll have to use her own money to pay off her student loans plus her Amazon spending for the YouTube uploaders. So the one thing is, on paper, this is great, and this is, like, you know, a really cool way to approach a situation. But to me, this is terrible. The idea that you have to baby your significant other because you don't agree with how they spend their money. Like, the wife's entitled to buy YouTubers things, just like you guys are entitled. No, I'm just saying, like, nobody's gotta buy me anything. But I'm just saying that the idea is the wife can spend their money the way it is. They're having one small argument, which is probably an overall good marriage, and the idea is now they're saying, okay, now I make 3 separate accounts, do the math as to who contributes once, and have the spending. How about you just have a good marriage where you communicate about things and have a clear understanding as to what should be happening here, what are the benchmarks we need to hit before we can start spending this much disposable income, and just, you know, having long-term and short-term goals, and just really knowing what they want to do with their money would be the kind of, it would be the it's the happy, like, middle ground. It's a good compromise. That's what I'm looking for. They need to have a happy compromise and have a good communication skills and everything. Not, okay, you know what, you made one small mistake and I'm gonna Fresh Prince of Bel-Air you and send you away across the country. Your bank account is now with B of A and I'm with US Bank, and they can't even touch each other right now because I don't think you're making sound financial decisions. I think that would personally be an overreaction, and that's just one of those things where, what is it, you post something on relationships and every top reply is like, you know, delete Facebook, hit the gym, and call a lawyer, that relationship's cooked, no matter the problem. But I mean, that's why I feel like Decoy Defense, DecoyNoise is the best place to get your information, because Decoy Court gives you everything, all the different sites and everything, and also the opportunity to get yourself the Decoy coin, because you can get that and spend it on Likely nothing for quite some time. Maybe I'll make it a reward sometime soon. But as always, thanks for hanging out with me and watching the YouTube video in its entirety, seeing all the different levels of the video. You know, decoy, the story, decoy court, the decoy defense, top post, controversial post, and hopefully you're contributing to the user submitted post down below. Also over at r/decoynoise.com or r/decoynoise or decoynoise.com. There it is, to give me your own feedback. But if nothing else, just go ahead and head over to the autoplay buttons, turn that on, and watch the next episode coming up next.